The New Year's Eve party in downtown Boston is exactly what Lucas Chin expected. Too loud, too crowded, too much. The venue is one of those sleek downtown lofts with industrial exposed brick, high ceilings that magnify sound, and more people than should be allowed in one space. He arrived 40 minutes ago, stayed at the periphery for 30 of those minutes, and is now seriously considering leaving. He's stimmying, his fingers working through a pattern of movements that helps quiet the sensory overload. Nobody notices, or they pretend not to. Lucas is brilliant at his job as a software engineer at a tech startup in Kendall Square. He's earned respect for his work in data science and security architecture. But he's also known as the quiet one, or the intense one. People interpret his directness as coldness. They read his need for silence as rejection. They don't understand that when he talks for 20 minutes about open-source security protocols, he's not being boring, he's being himself. He's had relationships, but they never last. People seem to want him to change. They want him to be more social, more present, less focused on his special interests. They don't understand that his interests aren't distractions from real life, they're the most real thing about him. He's about to slip out when he accidentally knocks over a glass of wine on a woman in the hallway outside the main party room. Shit. I'm so sorry, Emma Sullivan says, stepping back and looking at the wine stain on her red dress. She's laughing, not angry. Well, that's one way to make an exit. Lucas is already reaching for napkins. I was trying to leave. The party, it's too much. Emma looks at him with sudden understanding. Yeah, it really is. She follows him to the quiet hallway, and they end up sitting on the floor against the wall, far enough from the party that the noise is bearable. I'm Emma, she says. Lucas, he says. Were you having a terrible time too? She asks. I don't do well with crowds, Lucas says, and he appreciates that he doesn't have to soften it or apologize further. And I don't understand small talk. So parties are difficult. I love talking to people, Emma says. But I don't know how to talk to people. If that makes sense. I'm always performing. Always working the room. I don't know how to actually connect. Then why do you do it? Lucas asks. Because it's what I'm supposed to do, Emma says. Because I'm 32 and that's what successful, social people do at parties on New Year's Eve. They sit in comfortable silence for a moment. What would you rather be doing? Lucas asks. Right now? Talking to you in this hallway, Emma says. Honestly, with no performance. Something shifts in Lucas at that moment. For the first time in a long time, someone isn't trying to change him or make him fit. She's just present. They exchange numbers the next day. Emma texts first. That was the best New Year's Eve I've had in years. Can we do it again? Lucas suggests coffee. Emma suggests a specific cafe in Cambridge near MIT, which Lucas appreciates. It's quiet and it's near his apartment. When they meet, Emma asks him direct questions. Tell me about what you do, she says. The technical stuff. Don't simplify it for me. I want to understand how your brain works. So Lucas talks. He talks about data security vulnerabilities, about the architecture of machine learning models, about why he became obsessed with vintage arcade machines when he was 8 and has maintained that special interest ever since. Emma doesn't interrupt. She doesn't check her phone. She asks clarifying questions. So when you talk about security protocols, you're genuinely interested? She asks. This isn't like professional obligation? No, Lucas says. This is my actual passion. This is how I think. When I understand complex systems, when I can see how all the pieces fit together, that's when I feel most comfortable. Most like myself. Tell me about the arcade machines, Emma says. And Lucas does. He talks about the specific mechanics, the geometry of gameplay, the psychology of scoring systems. He talks about a particular game from 1982 that he's been trying to restore in his apartment for the last 3 years. Could I see it? Emma asked. You want to see my arcade machine? Lucas asks, and he's genuinely surprised. I want to see something that brings you that much joy, Emma says. I want to understand. When they go to his apartment in Somerville, Emma stands in front of the partially restored arcade machine and lets him explain every component. She doesn't pretend to understand it all. But she genuinely tries. She asks questions. She listens. Most people think I'm weird, Lucas says. Most people are idiots, Emma says. I think you're extraordinary. The third time they meet, Emma asks directly, Are you autistic? Lucas is quiet for a moment. Yes. I was diagnosed when I was 22. Why? Because of the way you process information, Emma says. The way you stim without seeming to notice. Your need for specific types of environment. The way you communicate so directly. The intensity of your interests. Does it bother you? Lucas asks, and he realizes his heart is racing. No, Emma says immediately. It fascinates me. I want to understand. And she does. Over the next few weeks, she learns about his autistic experience. She learns that the stimming, his fingers moving in patterns, his occasional rocking, isn't a problem to solve. It's a regulation tool. It's self-care. She learns that his directness, which people have called rude, is actually honesty. He's not trying to hurt people. He's just not performing social nicety. She learns that his need for alone time after social situations isn't rejection. It's necessary recovery. His nervous system has been working harder than hers all day, and he needs quiet to re-regulate. She learns that his special interests aren't distractions. They're how his mind works. They're expressions of genuine passion and expertise. What changed? Lucas asks her one day. They're in his apartment, and he's showing her some code he's written. What makes you different from everyone else? This is you, she says finally. This complexity, this attention to detail, this passion about how things work. This is who you actually are. I actually listen, Emma says. I'm not waiting for you to be someone else. I'm curious about who you actually are. For the first time in his adult life, Lucas feels seen. Not in spite of his autism, but including it. As winter melts into early spring, Emma fully enters Lucas's world. She attends a meetup for vintage computer enthusiasts. She stays at his apartment 4 nights a week. She learns his rhythms, when he needs silence, when he's comfortable with activity, how to communicate in ways that work for his brain. She also learns about his fears. One day, they're walking through MIT campus, and Lucas stops abruptly. I need to tell you something, he says. And I need you to listen without interrupting or trying to fix it. Okay, Emma says. I'm terrified, Lucas says. That I'm going to mess this up. That I'm going to be too direct and hurt you. That you're going to realize that I'm more trouble than I'm worth. That you're going to want me to be different and I can't be different. I can only be me. Emma takes his hand. I don't want you to be different, she says. I want you to be exactly who you are. That's the person I'm falling in love with. Lucas feels tears starting, which he doesn't know how to handle. Emma pulls him to a quiet area of campus and just holds him while he cries. I'm scared I'm going to hurt you, Lucas says. I don't understand social rules. I might say something that sounds mean but isn't. I might not understand why you're upset if you don't tell me explicitly. Then tell me what you need, Emma says. Tell me how to communicate with you. Be direct, Lucas says. If I hurt you, tell me. Explicitly. Don't assume I understand subtext. And give me quiet time. I need it to function. I can do that, Emma says. What unfolds over the next months is genuine intimacy. It's not perfect. There are moments of friction. But there's also profound comfort in being known and accepted. By late spring, Lucas's fear starts to surface in different ways. He becomes hyper-vigilant about whether Emma really wants to be with him. After social events, he assumes she's embarrassed by him. He catastrophizes small moments. After meeting Emma's dentist colleagues at a professional dinner, Lucas spirals. You seemed uncomfortable with me, he tells Emma afterward. You positioned yourself away from me. You minimized what I was saying. I did not, Emma says, confused. I was proud to be there with you. But you didn't introduce me as your boyfriend, Lucas says. You introduced me as, this is Lucas. Like I was just someone. I didn't know that bothered you, Emma says. If it does, tell me, and I'll introduce you differently next time. But Lucas is in a spiral. The fear that he's fundamentally unlovable is triggered. He starts pulling away. He tells Emma maybe they should take a break. Maybe she deserves someone who's easier. Someone more normal. That's not your choice, Emma says firmly. That's my choice. And I choose you. But Lucas is stuck in his fear. He becomes difficult. He's sarcastic and withdrawn. He assumes Emma is going to leave, so he's preparing himself for it. The tension builds until one night, 3 weeks into this difficult period, Emma breaks. Actually, the breaking point comes weeks earlier, triggered by something different. Emma has been trying very hard to fit into Lucas's world. She's been to 3 arcade restoration meetups. She's learned coding basics. She's quiet when he needs quiet. She's direct in her communication. But she's been doing it as performance. She's been trying to be what she thinks he needs, and it's exhausting. One night, after the 3rd arcade meetup, Lucas notices her falling asleep during an explanation about ROM hacking. You're not actually interested in this, he says. He states it as fact. I am, Emma lies. No, Lucas says. Your performing interest. Your body language changed. Your pupils dilated slightly, a sign of cognitive load and disengagement. You're trying too hard. Emma starts crying. Yes. Okay? Yes. I'm trying too hard. Because I thought I had to be interested in arcade machines and coding to be worthy of you. I thought I had to change to fit into your world. Lucas is quiet. I don't want you to change, he says. But you are who you are, Emma says. You have these intense interests and these specific needs, and I thought I had to completely adopt your world or I was failing somehow. And I can't do that. I'm not you. I don't think the way you think. No, Lucas says quietly. And I don't expect you to. But you seem so content with your interests, Emma says. Like you don't need anything else. I was, Lucas says. Before I met you, I was completely satisfied with my special interests. They were enough. But then I met you, and you became interesting to me. You're interesting to me. Not your ability to code or understand arcade machines. Your mind. Your curiosity. The way you care about things. That's what I love. You've never said that before, Emma says. I'm saying it now, Lucas says. I don't need you to be like me. I need you to be like you. But even as they have this honest moment, the fear in Lucas returns in a different form. He starts to feel like he's broken the connection. Like his directness about her performance has hurt something fundamental. He stops reaching out. He becomes quieter, more withdrawn than usual. His shutdown begins on a Wednesday. He goes to work but barely speaks. He comes home and sits in the dark, listening to ambient music, completely still. Emma tries to engage, and he can barely respond. Lucas, talk to me, she says. I can't, he says. It's all he can manage. She doesn't push. Instead, she sits in the next room and just exists in his space, not demanding anything. She lets him have the time he needs. By Friday, he's slightly more responsive. By Sunday, he's starting to engage again. I'm sorry, he says. I shut down. I do that sometimes when things are overwhelming. What overwhelmed you? Emma asked. I thought I hurt you, Lucas says. I thought my observation about your performance was cruel. I thought I broke something, and I didn't know how to fix it. So I just disconnected. You didn't hurt me, Emma says. You were honest. That's not cruel. That's love. But Lucas doesn't know that Emma has her own crisis happening underneath. Emma has spent her whole life being the easy one, the social one, the person who makes things work. And in this relationship, she's confronting the fact that she's been performing authenticity rather than being authentic. She's been so focused on understanding Lucas that she's lost herself. She's been so careful not to demand things that might overwhelm him that she's stopped having her own needs. One day, about 4 weeks after Lucas's shutdown period, Emma has her own breakdown. It happens at work, ironically enough. A patient is being difficult, and Emma usually handles this with grace and professionalism. Today, she just breaks. She leaves her office, goes to the staff bathroom, and cries for 20 minutes. She calls Lucas afterward. "I can't keep doing this," she says. "Doing what?" Lucas asks, genuinely concerned. "Being perfect," Emma says. "Being the easy girlfriend. Being the person who perfectly understands your autism. I can't. I'm exhausted. I'm losing myself trying to fit into your world." "You don't need to fit into my world," Lucas says. "I never asked you to. But I felt like I had to," Emma says. "Because your world is so interesting and intense and specific, and my world is just normal, social, shallow." "Your world isn't shallow," Lucas says. "And you don't have to live in mine. We can have different worlds." "But I want to be with you," Emma says. "Then be yourself," Lucas says. "That's the version of you I love." They meet at his apartment and have the most honest conversation of their relationship. Emma admits that she's been terrified. Terrified of being boring, of not being enough, of losing Lucas because she can't understand him the way she thinks she should. Lucas admits that he's been terrified too. Terrified that his directness would hurt her, that his autistic needs would be too much, that she would eventually realize she deserves someone easier. "We're both scared," Emma says. "But we're scared of the wrong things. We should be scared of not being honest with each other." "I can do honesty," Lucas says. "That's actually the thing I'm best at." By summer, everything has changed. Lucas and Emma are living together now, in a renovated apartment in Somerville that balances both their need. They have quiet hours in the morning where Lucas can do his work. They have social times where they see friends. They have compromise without either of them sacrificing their authenticity. One day, Emma comes home with news from work. "I'm thinking about making a change," she says. "I don't want to be a dentist forever. I love the technical aspects, but the practice management and the social performance, I'm done with that." "What would you do instead?" Lucas asked. "I don't know yet," Emma says. "But I want to figure out what I actually want instead of what I think I'm supposed to do." "Then figure it out," Lucas says. "I'm here." "You don't have to say that," Emma says. "You don't have to support everything I do. We don't have to be perfect for each other." "I know," Lucas says. "But I want to be there while you figure out who you actually are. Not because I have to. Because I choose to." Emma starts crying again, but this time they're different tears. "I love you," she says. "I love all of you. Your intensity and your special interests and your directness and your need for quiet. I love that you're not trying to be something you're not." "I love you too," Lucas says. "And I love that you're not trying to be me. I love that you have different interests and different needs. We can both be exactly who we are." That night, Lucas tells Emma he wants to marry her. He doesn't do it with a ring or a romantic gesture. He just says it while they're sitting on the couch, and it's exactly right. "I want to spend my life learning your language and you learning mine," he says. "I want to build a life where we don't have to perform for each other." "Yes," Emma says immediately. "Yes." A year later, they're married in a small ceremony in Boston. They had 60 people, carefully curated because Lucas needed to feel safe, and they made specific accommodation choices. The venue was quiet until the ceremony. The reception was outdoors, which felt less acoustically overwhelming. Emma gave her vows, and Lucas read his written down because public speaking is harder for him than written communication. They honeymooned in Maine, mostly alone, mostly quiet. It was perfect. Now, they're building a life that works for both of them. Emma is consulting on dental technology, the technical side that she loved, rather than seeing patients. Lucas is still coding, but he's also started mentoring younger autistic engineers at his company. One evening, they're sitting in their apartment. Lucas is working on his arcade machine. Emma is reading. It's silent, comfortable, understood. There's no performance. There's no trying. There's just two people who know each other completely and choose each other anyway. Are you happy? Emma asked. Yes, Lucas says. Are you? Happier than I've ever been, Emma says. Because I'm actually me. And you're actually you. And we actually understand each other. We do, Lucas says. I feel understood. I think that's what was missing my whole life. Someone who saw my autism not as something to overcome but as part of who I am. Someone who got excited about my special interests instead of tolerating them. Someone who spoke my language. You've changed me, Emma says. You've taught me that authenticity isn't selfish. That being yourself is actually the most generous thing you can do for the people you love. Lucas saves his work and turns his full attention to Emma. No distraction. No stimmying. Just presence. I want to know who you're becoming, he says. I want to watch you figure out your new career path. I want to support you in ways that feel real, not performative. And I want to keep learning your language, Emma says. I want to understand what your different stims mean. I want to know you more deeply every day. They sit together in their comfortable silence, two people who have learned that love isn't about changing yourself for someone else. It's about being so genuinely, authentically yourself that someone falls in love with all of it. The special interests and the directness and the need for quiet. The curves and the edges and the things that don't fit typical patterns. Love is understanding. And understanding is everything.